hard work on the budget this year. All the department heads did a phenomenal job, not only getting the information originally, but all the background information that myself and Ms. Hyde asked for after the fact. And Ms. Hyde and Ms. West here did a phenomenal job in formulating the budget document. But so today, what I would like to do is just run over the highlights of it, and I believe the slide program we would do, similar like we have done the last 2 years, kind of leads us into every aspect of the budget. But this year's budget, or excuse me, next year's budget, fiscal year 2026, would have a total budget of all funds of $47,569,373. General fund budget would be $22 million. This is a 7.7% increase over last year. And but the thing about this budget is we have maintained 109% unrestricted fund balance. But I want to make sure, because I've always said this, but I want to make sure everybody understands what that 109% is. That's not necessarily that we got $109,000, 109% sitting here. This is the ARPA funding, anything that would fall in the general fund. ARPA funding, the fleet fund, and things of that nature. Because those are funds that we could touch if we had to in an emergency situation. To run through some specific funds today, the first would be our police drug fund. We're only budgeting to expend $20,000, but the ending fund balance would be $147,802. Electronic citation fund, we're not looking to expend funds this year, and we don't normally expend funds annually in this fund, but it would give an ending fund balance of $11,320. Sanitation fund, projected revenues of $1,436,000 with expenditures of $1,507,000. That creates an operational deficit of $71,000 and would create an ending fund balance of $296,000. In this budget, we are recommending a $1 per month increase. If you'll look at the slide here, this shows where our fund balance has gone, and the reason the fund balance goes down each year is because we don't increase accordingly to the increases from our contractor. With our contract currently with Waste Management, that is tied to the Consumer Product Index, the urban rate, and each year that goes up, naturally our fund balance goes down. We could go through this year without an increase, but the situation would probably put a requirement of the board to do much more of an increase than just $1 next year. So if you don't mind, I'm going to stop there, see if anybody has any questions about that one, since it's talking about an increase.
Do you want to explain how the $1 per household or per bill, is that what you're, on your $1 increase, explain it.
I mean, we're adding $1 to every sanitation account
Yes.
for pickup, yes.
Does everybody, that's the way I read it.
Yeah.
Does everybody understand that? That was the only question.
And if we didn't do the dollar this year, we could possibly have to double next year.
Well, next year, when we prepare for next year's budget, I would anticipate that our fund balance would be dangerously low. Ms. High is the master at projections, and she may have something else she would like to add to this.
Sorry. Yeah, so as Tim said, with an ending fund balance of $300,000, that's assuming a $1 increase. So without that, it was, you know, it was over 300,000. I can't remember exactly how much, probably closer to 400,000. But as you can see with, you know, this year, the operating deficit of 71,000, that's not sustainable for very many years before we'll just be out of money. And once, you know, the general fund, we would have to dip into the general fund to supplement the sanitation fund. And that's probably not something that we would want to recommend.
Yeah, and it's a very good question. It's just, like I said, where it's tied annually to the consumer price index, just like our sewer treatment rates with Metro and so forth, it's going to go up annually each year. The good part of this is when we entered into the contract originally with GFL, now with Waste Management, it was in that in-between period when the CPI was like 9.8%, I think. Now it's back down to around 3%. Sometimes I think it was like 2.9 this past year. So that's working out good for us.
So, just to make sure I'm clear, I understand the dollar this year. Are we trying to anticipate that we may have to do something similar next year? I know you can't project, I don't mean that, but I'm just saying with the writing on the wall, are we anticipating the same for next year?
There is a great chance, yes, we
Okay.
would. And the other piece to this too, and I have concerns about, and that is, right now, our contract with any waste hauler is cheaper than any community around. Our contract's up in 2028, and I anticipate at that time that we will see some very staggering increases, or bids, excuse me, for service.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you. All right, the next fund is the tourism fund. Under the tourism fund is really 3 operations, partially 4, and that is tourism development, historic sites, economic development, and some aspects of parks and recreation. This coming year's budget has expenditures of $1,502,000. This is up 23%, and the reason being there had been 2 positions that had not been filled. One was Miss Susan Gifford's administrative position there, and the other was a position with our historic sites that would be funded. Well, one is funded now, and the other one will be funded July 1st. Sewer fund, total operating revenues of $6,985,000. Total capital expenditures of $1,003,000. Operating expenditures of $7.4. Ending net position is $40,928,000, and that is $855,000 increase in our net position there. Stormwater fund. This is one that we'll need to discuss a little bit as well. Operational expenditures is $1,392,000. That will give us an ending fund balance of $872,000. And for the 12 years that the stormwater fund has been in place, there has been no increase. Staff is recommending that we do a 15% increase this year. That would take the per residential unit to $4.50 from $3.67. So it would be less than $1. It would have a more of an impact on commercial units. It's because it has the ERU calculation. Give you, for instance, you see the blue line where our revenues have remained basically flat, but just over the past 8 years, how much the inflation has going up in operations. Since that is an increase, I'll stop and ask if anybody has any questions.
So, I know we're gonna get some repercussion over this, which I totally understand why we gotta do this. So, just for instance, Tim, do you know off the top of your head on a, let's just say O'Reilly's, what their fee is a year? A small business like that, do we have any kind of breakdown at all?
I think we can look it up if you give us a second.
You know, it's based on your, how much, obviously, parking lot, paving.
Right,
So if it's a, you know, the CPA's office, it's in a house, there's not a lot there, so that's gonna be similar to what you're paying.
Mhm.
Water fees at the, you know, roughly $4 a month. The businesses with parking lots, yeah, it's a little more, and I really couldn't tell you an average, but you have to get that from y'all and send it to all of them.
yeah, I just,
The one that comes to mind that I can call right off the top of my head is Tyson, which pays about $20,000 a year.
Okay.
And the reason being is that impervious service is just, Rivergate Mall isn't as much as that because there's a smaller portion of it's in our corporate limits. But I believe that's the second largest, that, would fall under our stormwater rate. The average of like O'Reilly's, some of the other locations, we can get that for you. I think Tiffany might be looking it up now. Okay.
you don't have to have it right now, I'd just like to know, I'll get some calls on it.
No,
would
I
just
understand. It,
For O'Reilly's, see, they're about an average, about the same, so.
Since they have 9 ERUs.
Okay. Good deal, that's what I need to know, thank you. That way we'll have a better way to explain it when
Yeah.
the phone starts ringing.
The next is not really a fund, but we have dedicated account, and that is for fleet. This year, we were proposing to purchase 9 total vehicles at $532,000, 7 police, 1 fire, and 1 bucket truck. That still leaves us with what I refer, even though I said it wasn't a fund, but a fund balance of $1,803,000 in that account. The next item is the one that has impacted this year's budget the greatest. And that is, I am proposing, since we are constantly in a battle of keeping employees, maintaining that morale because of compensation levels of cities around us and so forth. We're proposing a 3% salary adjustment on July the 1st, 2025. On January the 1st, 2026, we would provide a 3% cost of living increase. July the 1st, employee only, we would take the base insurance plan and pay for 100% of the employee's insurance coverage. Now, they have family coverage, they'll still have to pay the 10% that's associated with this, but us paying that initial 100% is large. And in 2013, the last item up there, we changed to a 2-part retirement system, both with Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. And the first is the traditional defined benefit plan where the city paid 100% of the employee's retirement. 2013, any employee that was hired after that, at my recommendation at the time, because at the time seemed like the right thing to do, we required, with the board's approval, employees to contribute 5%. We are now backtracking on that, since that is one of the things that many of the communities around us advertise as totally contributory retirement, and where any employee the city has July the 1st their retirement will be fully funded by the city like any employee that was before that. Out of 148 employees, on which we don't have that many on payroll currently, that would impact positively 90 employees. So these four things are probably the four that has impacted this year's budget more than anything else. And I'll answer any questions about that.
I don't know how many, if we do at this point have any part-time, but I'm sure this is just for full-time employees, correct? The salary adjustment, the cost of living, or is that for all employees?
The salary adjustment, part-time employees would receive that one, yes.
Okay.
Well, let me back up, Vice Mayor. Our regular part-time employees would receive that. Those that work lifeguards, all the things, it would
Seasonal,
not apply to that.
Temporary,
Yeah.
like,
What's the current percentage of medical coverage that's provided?
90% for
Okay.
both employee and family. And I do apologize. I know I had been asked that recently, and I think I referenced 93%, but it's actually 90%, and I apologize for that error.
so the family will stay at 90, but the employee
Yes.
will go to 100. Okay.
So then the cost on this for the employees since 2013?
The cost on the employees since 2013 is $280,000. The cost on the medical coverage is approximately $109,000.
So, I don't understand correctly, so employees from 2015 forward, current, will contribute that 5%. So that's 5% of their pocket,
Yes, that's correct.
along with the 3% salary adjustment, and then in January getting another 3% cost of living increase.
Correct.
So, ideally, just on that, 11%.
Yes, sir. Now, go ahead. I'm sure we'll have some current employees that was here before 2013 that feels like they aren't getting something someone else is. Well, actually, they've been getting it since 2013, and the other employees hasn't. So that's the basis line in which I'm approaching this.
Yeah, so here's just something thinking out loud that you and I talked about. So with the medical coverage, how are we gonna explain to the employees? I mean, just how are we gonna sell to the employees that this is a huge benefit to them?
Can you say that last part one more, the very last?
How are we gonna sell it to our employees? How are we gonna explain it to them in a manner that they understand that what kind of benefit this is?
We will, well, first off, all employees annually get what I call the data sheet that tells what all their benefits are, from retirement, insurance, all the ancillary insurances, life insurance, so on. What we would do in this case is we would have department meetings, give them the opportunity to ask any questions, because at the end of the day, items 3 and 4 up there is pretty significant. In some cases, they'll have to, I mean, we're going to have to not 101, but in smaller groups, have that discussion with them. Yeah.
I mean, this one piece of paper should pretty much explain it. They just looked at it.
But I agree, it should, but
If it's shared.
yeah, I mean,
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, as far as the insurance goes, I think that you're right up there at the top. I don't know any that, and I've not seen another city that pays 90% of family coverage.
That's where I agree, and or in the private sector. I'm kidding.
And as far as the TCRS goes, you know, at the time that we made the change, there were a lot of cities that were contributory. And we made that change, and times were different then. Now, as I think recruiting and retention has become so competitive, the cities around us have changed to non-contributory. And so that, I mean, we've seen that in ads for employees, that there are other cities that are paying 100%. So
And remind me, the insurance starts in July 1st? So starting
Yes, so
July
it will
1st, you'll
begin
get
July the 1st.
that 10% difference in insurance and the 3% in salary.
Yeah.
And it should be showing up on your paycheck.
And
That's exactly where I would see it.
What I was saying, I mean, this benefit package, this right here ought to encourage people to stay. I don't know
Well,
why you would, I
you know,
mean,
we're not having, you know, mass exodus, but
Right.
we've got people every day that will show me what this city's paying and that city. Talking about TCRS, I'm going to use this for an example. The city of Brentwood actually has 3 plans to TCRS. One is the traditional defined benefit. One is contributory defined benefit, and the other one is the hybrid plan, which is now mandated that state employees, school teachers, judges, and everybody go on. I had a gentleman interview for the city manager's job that turned it down because he was going to have to be on the hybrid plan. And on the hybrid plan, it's not a 5-year investment. And he was like 59, 60.
Yeah.
And it backfired because he was a top candidate, very good candidate. And now I'm not saying they're revisiting, but I will say that they're really thinking through that at the moment. Any other questions?
Go ahead.
Okay. Looking at the department budgets, the first one we'll look at is administration. And total budget's $3,151,000, and that is a decrease of 29.91%. Within this budget is funding computer replacements, access control for security, and upgrades to audio visual, which I'll come back and talk about here in just one second, and HVAC replacement of a 1986 model that's on the second story here at the auditorium that the building was built around. So it's going to be an enjoyable time replacing that. Long story short, the heat don't work on that unit anymore, and it's time for it to be replaced. The audio visual replacement would be a more of a permanent video system on this wall, 2 side projector systems on each side of the pictures here, and a control board of our cameras, and it would add a 3rd camera to catch who is speaking at the microphone at the podium. And is there anything else I'm missing? Miss Baker is the one that's driving that ship, and did I miss anything? So that's administration for this next year.
Quick question on
Yes,
the
sir.
audiovisual. You mentioned the camera that would show the speaker at the podium. Would it also zoom into each speaker on this board? The reasoning, because I hear from people
I'm
saying
gonna
that
have to let Ms. Baker speak.
they can always understand who is speaking on this board.
Yes, and the answer is no, that new camera won't do that because those existing cameras do that. But what we do have proposed in here is, I'm not going to say it right, but it's kind of like a joystick to be able to better operate the existing cameras that we have, because we do have the availability with those pan tilt zoom cameras that are brand new to zoom in on you all, and that's what we try to do each time with getting it set, but it's kind of a little clunky, so this new control board will make it a lot more user-friendly, they tell us, so we'll be able to zoom in, see who's speaking, and make it more visually appealing to the viewer, so.
Cool. Sounds good, thank you.
I just think that's always a challenge because we have such a long board here. To see who's talking, it's just hard.
Yeah,
It's
when you're
just a
watching it,
challenge.
everyone looks about this big on the
I think
screen.
it's just a challenge.
Yeah.
That is at Southeastern, yeah, yeah.
It's just always.
And we, at that price, naturally, let me back up, Commissioner Gilmore. We would create bid specifications and put this out to bid. So this 86,000, I do expect to be less than that, and I do expect to take what has been recommended and have third party review that to make sure we're not missing anything. And then we'll put it out to bid and make sure it is what all we need. All right, next, community development. Budget for this fiscal year 26 would be $1,072,735. This is a 33% increase, but also includes $175,000 to replace the roof on the building there. To answer any questions you all may have, Adam is here. Okay, police department. Total fiscal year 26 budget, $6,733,000. That is a 9% increase. Within the capital on that budget is 7 vehicles, a partial radio replacement, and I'll come back and discuss about that in just 1 second, desktop computers, tactical shields, and patrol laptop. The portable radio replacement, and you'll see this in the fire department next, Motorola has advised us that they are no longer going to support the radio systems that currently exist. This is something that is done about every 10 years. This is a partial. We're going to do it phased in over 4 years with the police department. However, Metro, for the first time ever, is considering letting those agencies on their system use other equipment besides Motorola. And if their MRAM, Metro Radio Users Group, does permit that opens for competitive bids, and we feel like we can get, a better cost than what this is. But this $205,000 is worst case scenario, and that we have to go with Motorola because that's who they use. They have not changed that policy yet, so we're waiting to see.
Is that 7 new vehicles? I'm sorry, I'm tired today. Vehicles, or is that replacement new? I'm just curious.
I'll let Chief Goodwin, I don't remember.
It's not 7 vehicles.
Huh?
I asked for 6, you gave me 5.
Excuse me.
But it is 5 new vehicles, yes. It's going to be 3 marked patrol units and 2 vehicles in CID that are up against their, the
Okay, and is the number still staying at 315,000 for 5 vehicles?
If you did that math, they'd come in at about 45,000, and we can't buy a vehicle for 45,000.
My apologies, I don't know. I
Is
just-
that completely outfitted?
Yes.
That price?
Yeah, that's the upfit price.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, Kim sent it to me just the other day. We're a little over 50,000 now for an upfitted Durango.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how about for like CID, same?
it's pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think, Ms. Julie, I think you told me before, you explained this over, the police cars, we purchased those, right? They're not part of the police, it's all. Then there's some that's leased and some that's purchased.
So, we used to lease them, and then several years ago, many years ago now, we started, Tim went over that fleet fund a little while ago, it's got $1.8 million in it. So, most every year, we increase that, contribute, money from our unrestricted fund balance to, and dedicate it to the fleet fund. And so, all the passenger type vehicles, we're actually gonna fund out of that $1.8 million. So we don't lease them.
And what we do, Commissioner Gilmore, it's kind of like what Chief Goodwin said. Any four-wheeled vehicle at police, the only one in this case, at 7 years, we replace police because of the number of miles that on it. Any other vehicles at 10 years. And what this allows us to do is to forecast what we're expecting to expend out from there, but based upon the years. Now, that does not mean that if we have a vehicle that is 7 years old and has 25,000 miles on it and don't have any maintenance issues, we're getting rid of it. But it just allows us to plan better from a fleet perspective.
And can I ask, I don't know what it is, because what's a tactical shield?
Yeah, so this is one of the things that was brought up in the advisory committee, and it's one of the advisory committee is something we started several years ago. We have one representative from each patrol shift and one from CID. And basically, they come and bring ideas, suggestions, needs, desires, those kind of things. So one of the things they ask for is, it's basically a ballistic shield, but it is small enough that it fits into a backpack, that if they go in somewhere, they can carry it on their back, they can whip it out, they can use it, and it gives them extra protection, if they should, face gunfire. So it's something they wanted, something they would like to have, something that other departments have implemented, so it's, trying to get more.
And that outfits all of our current,
It takes care of,
everyone.
all our officers, yes, ma'am.
Thanks, I just didn't know what it was.
All right, any other questions? You got?
Yeah, everybody can do the math, but going back to the fleet account page, instead of 9 total vehicles, it'll be 7 total vehicles.
Yes, sir, apparently,
Yeah.
I really scored high on that category.
I just went back and put that in my notes. So it's 7 total vehicles, 5 police, 1 fire, 1 bucket. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. No further questions.
My apologies for that error.
Mr. Ellis, one more question
Yes, sir.
for me on the patrol laptop. Is that one laptop, or is that multiple devices?
No, if I'm not mistaken, we usually try to do them in thirds, so this would be a third, so that we're only having to replace a third of them every year. But, based on, the estimated cost and what they've cost us in the past, it's probably gonna be even more expensive. I think we'll be replacing, I don't know the exact number right now, but we've got to replace this year. But basically, they come with a 3-year warranty. So we try to do them in thirds so that all the warranties are rolled. As soon as the warranty rolls off, we're buying a new one, picking up a new 3-year warranty. So if anything goes wrong with it over that 3 years, we can get it fixed at no cost. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so that's about a third of the police force would have new laptops for that. Is that, am I understanding that?
So so basically every patrol officer, every
3 years.
third year would get a new.
Okay. And then the desktop computers, is that nearly everyone?
So, Aneco, the IT provider, actually did a review of what the status was of the age and everything of what we had in place. So this was the recommendation they had of what needed to be replaced immediately and over the next fiscal year. So that's where that number came from.
Great, thank you.
Is overhead communications, which is part of the police department's budget. This next year would be $1.4 million, increase of 7.16%. For the first time in the last few years, there is no capital expenditures in this. For those newly to the board, we have replaced dispatch consoles and everything over the past 2 years, and we're in pretty good shape there right now.
Any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
Fire department, fiscal year 26 budget is $4,027,000. This is 11% increase. Most of that increase is in regards to the benefit improvement that we have already discussed. There is a time to replace the fire chief vehicle with the upfit at $65,000. This is a pickup truck topper with rollout equipment. Yes, sir. And this is, in this case, we're not staggering the replacement of the handheld radios. They would all be done at the same time at $126,000. Ken, you'd like to add anything to that?
I don't. It's just that our number is smaller. We're asking for 12 radios, which would, each firefighting position would have one, plus the chief and I.
Any questions? Mr. Ellis?
This does, within this budget, we do plan to address some discrepancies in our part-time pay based upon what some of our neighboring communities are doing. Not a lot, but to keep us competitive and make it easier for them to be able to choose coming to work here or going to Gallatin. It pays $1 more or something, so. Yes, or in your, yes, everyone, in your book, Julie.
So in your book, the little summary below, at the bottom, it talks about capital, list the vehicle at 50,000. That's a mistake, just in that summary. The actual number was 65,000 for an outfitted vehicle, and the numbers in the top reflect that. It's just a summary that's incorrect. I didn't want you to think that we were getting a fully outfitted fire vehicle, chief's vehicle for $50,000. It's 65.
Public Works, fiscal year 26 budget is $2,505,000. That is a 15% increase. That includes includes a new bucket truck, sidewalks, and paving at $1 million. And answer any questions you may have in that department.
Any questions? What is the $10,000 sidewalk?
That is basically repairs to sidewalks, replacement of sidewalks, and connecting of sidewalks. In other words, if there's small sections that are missing, sometimes we go in and make them connected for whatever reason. Give you, for instance, a couple years ago, we did that in front of the post office because I knew the federal government was not going to come back in and put sidewalks in, so.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
Yes, sir. The next one is Parks and Recreation. Total, this should be fiscal year 26 budget is $3,168,000. This is a 33.43% increase. This has in the capital a new, we call it a Gator, utility vehicle, lighting conversion to LED at the tennis courts and pickleball courts, scoreboards phase 2 at Moss Wright Park, which would replace the scoreboards at the football field. It would replace various HVAC units and hot water heaters in locations there that have been targeted for replacement. Parking lot addition at the dog park, and ADA sidewalks at the Moss Wright Park playground. Sarah, did I miss anything?
Questions? Oh, this ain't really a question. I'm gonna ask you, Tim. In the future, I'll tell you what I think I would like to see in the budget. Doesn't Public Works and the park share a skid steer now?
Y'all still have the, they have, each have one. I am in the process of making the availability back and forth a lot more accessible to the parks and to the other, and equipment operators and so forth. I would like to see how this next year goes with what we're going to implement, and then talk about doing a replacement. There is one there for them to use.
Right.
It's just will not unload some things that they need to unload off trailers.
Yeah, just,
It's a very good question because it's something that we discussed last year. But
I think the one they got is kind of like the tire machine. It's a tire machine, not a track machine, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, which tears the ground all to pieces, at least mine does. And like I said, this wasn't, so from what I've heard, this is not a request from anyone, and we just talked about it last year. And the reason I bring this up is my own personal thoughts. But so I asked the guys, and everybody at the park said that Public Works has been a great help in any of the cleanup over there after the storms and everything. So nobody at the park is complaining, and I just want to bring that front and foremost. They've said that Public Works has worked with them really well. I just think in the future, if we can, it would be nice to have one at both places.
I would like to see how this next 12 months goes, and I think we're going to see a marked improvement there.
Like I said, they've all said it's been a great working relationship, so.
It's a great working relationship. It's accessibility and stuff is what has been the hindrance, and I think we're about to get that remedy.
Good deal. That's all I got on that. Thank you.
Sanitation, we'd already talked about sanitation fund. This is kind of simple. Fiscal year 26 budget, $1,507,000. That is a 6.36% increase. As usual, the only capital request in this fund is trash carts at $50,000. This is replacement of only those carts, the blue carts that either break or someone builds a new home or anything of that nature.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Tourism, fiscal year '26 would be $1,502,000. This is a 23% increase, not decrease, I apologize. Capital coming out of this would be a $40,000 vehicle for economic development and donation to the Chamber of Commerce for $5,000 as we did last year.
Comments or questions? Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
Sewer fund, total for fiscal year '26 is $7,454,000. That is a 2.1% decrease. Within this capital is a truck replacement, the asset management for $600,000, which we have a grant that will pay for 50% of that, rehabilitation work, and a Caldwell Force Main project there at Madison Creek.
Questions or comments? Thank you. Go ahead to the next one, Mr. Ellis.
Capital projects that's on the list this year is Main Street project, CMAC Phase 3, and CMAC Phase 4. CMAC, for those that are watching online, and it's congestion mitigation and air quality grants. These are all about 100% funded grants. And Phase 3, we're getting close to bidding out. Phase 4 is under the design phase currently. And then the Main Street project is kind of the wild card in the room because we know that the cost is going to be more than what we have right now. We're just waiting to see what the estimated cost will be to further seek grant funding to match that.
Questions, comments?
One question. So what exactly is the CMAC? Like I heard you say what it stands for, but what is it doing?
It is improvements to our traffic flow in the city, traffic synchronization, additional cameras at intersections, additional intersections that have mast arm poles. This actually expands beyond Caldwell and Conference. This now will take in the traffic signals, I believe, on Main Street. And when I say Main Street, I'm talking about Rivergate and Main, I'm talking about Dry Creek and Main, and I'm talking about the traffic signal at Old Springfield Highway. And I believe those, instead of using fiber, those will use radio signal to communicate there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any more questions? Mr. Ellis?
Stormwater, total for fiscal year '26 is $1,392,000. This is a 30% increase, and I will talk about this increase a little bit more detail in just a second. Capital would be stream bank stabilization for $400,000. Williamson Road repair, $300,000. This repair will actually be covered under FEMA funding. Situation will be is even if it's FEMA funding, it'll be about 5 years before we get the funding. But that is being redesigned now, and culvert replacements throughout the city. Within this $30,000, there is a position of stormwater coordinator, GIS manager, which is one position. We had someone in that position. They left us, went to the city of Portland to be assistant director of utilities. and we did not backfill it, and we have not been as efficient in our stormwater management as we needed to by overburden other staff, and it is important that we get this position filled again. And also, in this year's budget, there is a position of capital improvement program manager that will assist with grant management, grant applications, and all capital projects such as Main Street, such as utility relocation on Main Street. Both of those would have very minimal impact on the general fund. There would be very minimal there. Actually, it's my intent with the capital improvement person is to start applying some of the grant funding to that salary where those grants are permissible to do so.
Any questions, comments? All right.
One question. The stream bank stabilization?
Yes.
Just tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, so, there are several areas in the city. I think this one in particular is additional work on Willis Branch that we need to go in and in some way have a design system to create the stream from undercutting the roads and things of that nature. Commissioner Walker, I say it's only at Willis Branch. There's other times that things arise each time it floods that may put a different one at a higher ranking than one that was there previously or something of that nature, so.
Any more questions, comments? All right. What do you have next for us, Mr. Ellis?
Well, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, that is the budget for fiscal year '26. Once again, I want to reiterate everyone's efforts to the work that they put into this. For the first time, I did not have to pull a lot back. And I don't mean that to brag. I'm just saying everyone did a great job in the formulation of their budgets and the theory in which they came up with the numbers rather than just non-methodically throwing something out there. And I can't tell them how much I appreciate that. And I don't think anyone sitting in this room can really say that there really wasn't much in there that they didn't ask for that they did not get. Except for I was trying to give the police department 9 cars. It cost $20,000. I didn't know they made Yugos anymore.
You should have took them up on that deal, Chief Goodwin. Held them to it.
I do. Well, are we finished?
Yes, other than I would like to say, I don't think with this board, I can speak for myself, and I think the whole board, we've went through the audits, and we're so financially strong and stable, we don't question anything you do anyway, so it's always an honor to work with you guys and just know how safe we are, and lucky to have you. And I know, Julie, you put a lot of extra work on top of this, and we always come out on the good end of the deal, so thank you guys so much. Go ahead, Mr. Ellis. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Mr. Mike Waldron, that works in our Public Works Department, our inspector, his grandfather, who many of y'all knew, Mr. Robert McCoy, passed away yesterday. I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. Not sure I'd had that opportunity during the meeting to say that or not.
I was going to bring that up at the meeting, but yeah.
Well, I
thank
mean,
you.
you're welcome to.
No,
I'm just saying I did not know who knew, not knew,
Yeah.
and since we were completed,
Mr. McCoy was a former commissioner as well. And
I had forgotten that. Jim
Yeah,
just told
so
me.
he was a fine gentleman. Matter of fact, he had just called me about 2 weeks ago, just checking on the city, which I think you remember some of that, Tim. But yeah, I hate to see him go. He's a wonderful man, been in Goodlettsville for longer than me. Anyone else? All right, well, we have something going on at 6, right, Tim?
Yes, sir. Can we adjourn this meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting, or the budget hearing, is adjourned.
The people that will be here next is the gentleman